I'm Dr. Joe Esposito, and welcome to our podcast, For the Health of It. Remember to subscribe to our podcasts, and I'll help you naturally get well and stay well.
The information presented on this program is not intended to take the place of your personal physician's advice, and it is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Discuss this information with your own physician or healthcare provider to determine what is right for you.
Are you suffering needlessly? Dr. Joe can give you advice on how to naturally get well and stay well. Dr. Joe Esposito.
To start out, we're going to talk about ways to control your eating. Now, I've been in practice a long time. Between my school and seeing patients, I've been seeing patients about 40 years now. And so for 40 years, patients come to me and say, Dr. Joe, I just can't stop eating. I feel full. I can't stop eating. I think I'm eating right, but I'm not losing weight. I hear these stories all the time. So there are little tips that I've used over my life to help control my eating, and I want to share them with you today because I used to be overweight. When I was a child, I was overweight, probably 10 years old. And I have a picture. I thought it was gone forever, and I was going through my mom's pictures a while ago, and I found the picture. And it was a picture that changed my life and probably changed your life too. I was standing in front of my house where I grew up, and I had a bathing suit on, and I couldn't see the top of the bathing suit. My belly fat was kind of hanging over the bathing suit. And looking back now, it's not nearly as bad as a lot of kids are today, but for me, that was an impactful moment. And I said, I don't want to do this anymore. And I had my cousins, Johnny, Paulie, and Mikey, and we'd go over their house and play a lot as children. And they were real skinny, and they were real wiry, and they were in great, they just had good athleticism, and I didn't. And I couldn't play stickball with them. I couldn't play baseball with them. I couldn't play manhunt with them. And so it really was motivating for me to say, I really want to lose this weight. And so a lot of the things that I was doing, I didn't realize it was going to be something I'd be reporting to you someday. So it's kind of cool. So ways to control your eating. Number one, chew gum when you're grocery shopping. Maybe you shouldn't shop for food when you're hungry, of course. I don't know if you've ever done that before, but we all make stupid decisions, and especially when it comes to food when you're shopping. So you got to ruin your appetite. I'm going to talk about that a lot today. I want you to never go shopping, ever under any circumstances, go grocery shopping hungry. You're going to do some bad things if you do. So if you chew gum, people felt less hungry and had fewer junk food cravings, according to 2 different studies. So as a result, people bought fewer high-calorie snack foods like chips and bought more healthy options like vegetables. Now, when it comes to gum, I do not want you chewing any gum with artificial sweetener. Artificial sweetener would be aspartame, sucralose, saccharin. I don't know if they'll do gum with saccharin, but aspartame is the big one. And you'll actually be hard-pressed to find a gum that doesn't have aspartame in it. But of all the 7 deadly sins, if you're new to the show, I came up with these years ago, the 7 foods you want to cut back or cut out of your diet. Those would be alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. Now, if you're new to the show, you said something that everyone says when they first hear it. They say, Dr. Joe, alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener, that's my whole diet. If I can't do alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener, I cannot survive. Wrong. You can survive. And if you don't know what to do, go to our website, drjoe.com, type in the 7 deadly sins of nutrition, and then type in, so what can I eat? Those are sister shows, and it'll tell you what to eat, what not to eat. But I digress. Of all the things I teach you, the worst thing you could put in your body, in my opinion, is artificial sweetener. Now, aspartame breaks down to 3 components: aspartic acid, phenylalanine, and methyl esters. Aspartic acid is an excitotoxin to the brain. I'm a chiropractor. I'm a pain management specialist. I'm board certified in non-surgical orthopedics. I've got 5 board certifications, certified in traumatic brain injury. And so I deal with a lot of injury cases. And we always address it from a structural standpoint, but also from a chemical standpoint. And my big thing is protect the brain and the spinal cord because it controls everything. And artificial sweetener is an excitotoxin. It causes the nerves to fire faster than they're supposed to and can literally burn out your brain cells. So aspartame, of all the things I'll teach you, concentrated aspartame is dangerous. Phenylalanine, bad for your kidneys if you have a condition called phenylketonuria. I'll skip over that. It's not that common. But methyl esters becomes methanol, which is wood alcohol. It's alcohol you're putting in your body. Wood alcohol, if I was going to give you a glass of it, you could have me arrested for attempted murder because it's highly toxic poison. So I want you to stay away from the artificial sweetener. So gum. If you have to do a gum, there's gum sweetened with stevia, xylitol. They don't last very long for flavor. You may have to pop a few pieces in. But not as bad as artificial sweetener. I hate to say this. It's not good. Would be sugar gum. And I hate to say that because it's not good for you, but it's a lot better than artificial sweetener. Anyway, it's going to help curb your cravings. See yourself healthy. You always go, let's say you project on what you want, and then serve yourself healthy stuff first. So if you're going to go to a buffet, I want you to have the salad and the vegetables first. Fill up on the good stuff. Then if you absolutely positively can't resist, then go back and have a little bit of the bad stuff. I don't want you eating the bad stuff ever. Like if I go to a salad bar, I eat salad. If I go to a food bar, I eat the good stuff. There's a Brazilian restaurant not too far from where I work, and my friend Tim and I go there periodically. And it's a Brazilian buffet. You would think Brazilian all meat. Well, they have beans that they don't have meat in them. They have a salad bar, and then they usually have a cooked vegetable as well. Last time was actually roasted pumpkin. And so I eat that. And I may have 3 or 4 plates of that, where somebody else might have 3 or 4 plates of meat. Well, fill up on the good stuff. You'll do a lot better for yourself. So dish up the veggies first, and all the junk, the meats, the dairies, the coffees, the sodas, the artificial sweeteners, have them absolutely last if you're going to have them at all. I prefer you don't have them at all anyway. Another thing that was interesting, studies were done for people that help control their eating, is pay for your food with cash. Because when you spend cash, you're less likely to eat more food. So if you do that, it's kind of interesting. They did a study on high schoolers, and they were told to use cash to pay for less healthy foods like cookies. When they did, they had to think twice about it, and they were more likely to grab healthier fare. This is one of the reasons why casinos have gone away from cash, and now it's all a little card. Because when you spend cash, it's real. That dollar is out of my hand. If I spend a credit card, it's not real. And we understand that. I mean, business owners understand this. And so they prefer that people use credit cards because they buy more. So when you're buying your food, try to pay with cash. And when you're buying your dinners, you're going to a restaurant, pay with cash as well. You're psychologically going to spend less. You're going to pick out the bad stuff less because it's usually, you've got to decide on what's going to be a better choice. So buy your food with cash. It's kind of interesting to see what happens. I think you'll enjoy that too. You'll buy a lot less junk food. Be careful about watching things like cooking shows and baking shows because I've done it. And when you do, you want a snack. I'm from a place called Hoboken, New Jersey originally. Now, there's the Cake Boss. If you ever watch your buddy from Cake Boss, he has a bakery on Washington Ave in Hoboken, New Jersey, and it's where they do where he started. Now, that bakery used to be called Schoning's, so I'm going to expose a little history here for you. When I was a kid, we'd go to Schoning's, and Schoning's was a German bakery, and it had the best crumb cake ever in the history of the world, and just talking about it, I can still taste it. What they would do is they would take their old cookies, their day-old cookies that were going stale, crumble them up, add butter to it, and make crumbs out of it, and then add powdered sugar to it. Boy, those were good, tasty. So Buddy still says that the bakery's been there, that his bakery has been there since whatever, early 1900s, whatever it is. Well, that's not true. That bakery has been there, but not his bakery. So anyway, little story there for you. But if you watch something like a cooking show or baking show, you're going to be tempted. And so be careful with that. Now, if you're watching a vegan cooking show, probably a better choice. But I probably need to do one. I don't know. If I had time, I'd probably do vegan cooking shows. We're talking about today about ways to control your eating. Because I used to be overweight, and it's a big issue. A lot of people have these issues, and I'm teaching you things that you can do every day. And with shows like this, what'll happen is you'll hear something I say, and you go, wow, that's a great tip. Write it down. Try to memorize it. You're not going to remember them all. But if you want to remember them all, this show and probably 2,000 hours of other shows are on our website, drjoe.com. So if you go to our website, drjoe.com, you can look up this show. It'll be called, Ways to Control Your Eating. And you'll be amazed how much you'll learn after you hear a show. When patients come in our office, I'll tell you a little trick that we do. Again, dealing with the brain. Nose itches today. Little trick we do is we want to indoctrinate our patients into eating better. Because even if we give them the best chiropractic and pain management care in the world, and I consider, my opinion is that we do, but that's my opinion. And if we give them the best chiropractic treatment in the world, if we give them the best medical treatment in the world, you also have to manage somebody's personal life. So if they're eating at home and they're eating foods that are bad for them, it's not going to be conducive to good healing. So when a patient comes in, we give them, either on CD or the links to our website, the shows, The 7 Deadly Sins of Nutrition and So What Can I Eat? And I have them listen to it. And if a patient is really serious about wanting to get well, I'll tell them to listen to it several times. And if you want to learn this, let's assume this show particularly is really, get your interest. You want to listen to something 11 times. And the reason is that's how the brain works, the average brain. Some people are smarter than us. But 11 times, if you listen to something, you'll memorize it. Just like a song, you hear it 11 times, you have it memorized. So if you really want to learn tips like this, you can go to our website, or if you go to your podcast server, whatever service you use, and type in Dr. Joe for the health of it. Dr. Joe for the health of it. That's our podcast, and you can listen to this podcast there and listen to it over and over again. But if you like what you're hearing, Dr. Joe for the health of it on your podcast service, you'll get hundreds and hundreds of hours. Our website, drjoe.com, over 2,000 hours, audio and video. So I digress. Drinking water is going to be such a key. If I had to give you one tip, people say, what's the one tip, Dr. Joe? Give me the one thing you do. I was a guest on a show on a station called KISS in Atlanta. It's a jazz station. And I was a guest on a show, and Fred Blankenship, who's a newscaster, he was in the booth, and he's a big fan. And he said, all right, Dr. Joe, give me the one tip that you do to stay healthy. Just give me one. I know you got a lot. Just give me one. So I said, Fred, I take quality supplements. Because when you're hungry, you're not hungry for food, you're hungry for nutrition. And so I give my body high concentration of really quality nutrition, and that really helps tremendously with my hunger and everybody's hunger. So I take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. They're two powders. They taste great. I take a scoop of each. I mix them together. Everyone asks me, can I mix them together? Yes, you can mix them together. And I mix it with coconut milk, almond milk, water. People make a smoothie out of it. Shake it up and drink it. Amazing how much less food you'll eat. So if you're going shopping, maybe take Super Greens and Essential Source right before you go food shopping. You're going to spend a whole lot less money, get a whole lot better food, and you're going to feel a whole lot better. So if I had to give you one tip, it's Super Greens and Essential Source. They're the magic supplements on so many different levels, including hunger. You also want to make sure you're drinking enough water. Because when you're hungry, you're not hungry for food. You're hungry for nutrition. And many times you're not hungry, you're thirsty. Because the same part of the brain that controls hunger controls thirst in adults. And so another trick, real simple thing to do, is have a big glass of water before every meal. You will eat so much less food, because so many times when you're hungry, you're thirsty. Real simple thing. And you can do this. Water's free, essentially. So drink a big glass of water before you have a meal, and you'll be amazed how much less food you eat and how much less hungry you'll be. And then you make this a habit. I mean, look at skinny people. Skinny people are either drinking a hell of a lot of coffee, because it blows out the immune system, very bad for you. Or if you ever look at in-shape people, what do they usually have? They usually have a water bottle with them. My doctors are all in great shape. And every one of us walks around with water everywhere. And so it's a real good idea to add water to your diet. You're going to be amazed how much less food you eat. Use smaller plates. This is a trick that buffets have finally learned. They used to put out these big plates, and people would fill up these server plates, basically, and they would be so full of food, and then they'd waste so much food. So buffets finally figured out that if you give people smaller plates, they're going to eat less food. And you can do this at home too. The smaller the plate, your mind is going to say, okay, you know what? I'm doing better. I just ate 2 plates of food. I got to stop. Where if it was 2 big plates of food, you would have stopped. 2 small plates of food, you still stop. Following? Small plates are good. Blue plates, also. Color of your dishes makes a difference. The more foods blend in with the color of the plate, the more chow you're likely to take in. So consider using plates in different hues. Blue one of them would be, because it's going to have you're going to eat less food with it. Isn't that wild? Some psychologist somewhere got paid a lot of money to go ahead and study all these things. So blue plates, smaller plates, ruin your appetite. If you like Mexican food, like I do, I want you to do this. Very, very effective. Do not let them bring chips to your table. And if you do own chips to the table, it can only come with the meal. Do not put chips in front of you at a Mexican restaurant before you eat your meal. Because if you're like me, and most of you are, you're going to start eating those chips. And they're good. And then they have salt on them, and they have carbohydrates on them, and they have fats on them, which is the perfect combination to stimulate the pleasure centers in your brain. And so you're going to eat a lot of chips, and the food's going to come, and chances are you're going to eat the food too. So if you like your chips, do it in reverse. Have your meal first, and if you still have to have chips, then have the chips afterwards. You're going to eat a whole lot less chips. One of the worst things you can eat are fried corn chips. Corn is loaded with sugar. It's high in salt. It's omega-6 fatty acids. It's rancid oils because they heat the oils and the oils become hydrogenated or trans fats. So one of the worst foods you can eat are chips. And at a Mexican restaurant, you're going to sit there and eat a whole basket of it. I remember being in college and being very poor, and there was a place called Los Reyes, not too far from the college I went to. And it was like $1.50 for lunch, $2 for lunch. And I remember eating as many chips as I possibly could because I was poor. In my mind, I'm thinking, well, I'm getting as much food as I can for my $2. What a stupid choice that was. It was so unhealthy for me, unhealthy for my brain. This is way before I started studying biochemistry and nutrition. So don't allow them to bring chips to the table unless you have amazing willpower. And if you do, here's the rule. 6 chips, no more. Where did I come up with that number? I made it up. 6 chips, as much salt as you want, you're fine. What I'll do many times if I go to a Mexican restaurant, I don't want to eat a whole big meal. So I'll order refried beans, make sure there's no lard, and then I'll order guacamole, and then I'll put some salsa on top of it, and I'll have a 3-layer dip, and I'll just eat it with a spoon or a fork. At the end of the meal, I enjoyed my meal. And I'm not bloated, and I'm not sick, and I'm not inflamed, so it's a much better choice. I want you to hit the pause button before giving into a craving. Try to delay the urge to have these, to fulfill these carnal desires we have when it comes to food. Do something for at least 5 to 10 minutes before you give in. Here's what I suggest you do. Take a scoop of essential source, a scoop of super greens, mix them up, take it. Then wait 10 minutes, and then if you still have to have that cookie, that cake, that donut, those potato chips, then you can have them. It's amazing what'll happen. If you take super greens and essential source and wait 10 minutes, and you can take a second dose, it's not going to overdose on it unless you do a whole lot. And you're going to say, wow, that's amazing, Dr. Joe. I took super greens and essential source, and I'm not having my afternoon donut anymore. I'm not craving those, even alcohol. I've had people that, like to have a drink after work. And I'll say, try the super greens, the essential source, and then go have a drink. You know what? Those cravings are gone. Again, I'm giving you high concentration of super quality nutrients that many times go up into the hypothalamus in your brain and says, you know what? I'm not hungry anymore. So sometimes you have to play little games with yourself. And one of the games is that you load yourself up with tons of nutrition. Drink a big glass of water and take super greens and essential source and watch how a lot of those cravings go away. It may take a few days for the cravings to finally fade, but you're going to retrain your brain. When we have cravings, it's in the brain. It's not in the stomach. It's in the brain. And so if we can retrain the brain, we do a lot better. So if you give in to the cravings, that's not a good thing. If you do something proactive before giving in, chances are you won't give in. And if you do give in, it's going to be a lot less dramatic and traumatic. You're going to have a lot less of that craving that you've gotten yourself into. Another thing I want you to consider is get the bad food out of the house. If you have bad food in the house, the chances are very high that you're going to eat it. This is the biggest tip I can give you from a proactive standpoint. I tell the story that years ago, a patient gave me vegan cookies for Christmas. And of course, I'm vegan. And they were really good. And I brought them home, and I put them in my pantry. And I remember sitting there in my keeping room watching television. And I felt this calling. Joey, I'm in the pantry. Come eat me. And I thought, no, I can't eat the cookies. I can't eat the cookies. Can't eat the cookies. Finally, this was one of those aha moments in my life. I have a stream in my backyard. I grabbed the cookies, opened my back porch, and threw the cookies into the stream. Because if you throw them in the trash, you can dig them out of the trash. And I don't know if any of you have ever done that, but I've had a lot of people admit to me they throw it away and then dig it out. Throw it in a place you can never get it, down to garbage disposal, outside. Because if it's in the house, chances are you're going to eat it. And that goes for all bad food. Alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, chips. If they're in the house, you're going to eat them. Got to get them out of the house. And when you do that, you're a much better choice. Now, some advisors might say, well, out of sight, out of mind. If you can't see them, that's good. No, if it's in the house, you're going to find them. If you hid them, you're going to find them. If you throw them in the trash, you might dig them out. So if you only have fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds in the house, that's what you're going to eat. Right now, my refrigerator, I have pomegranate cleaned in a glass container, and I have grapes, organic grapes. So if I go home and I want a quick snack, what am I going to grab? Pomegranate or grapes? If I had cookies, cakes, donuts, and pastas, what would I grab? Grab that. So in the winter, I know I make a lot of soups, and I'll leave soup in the refrigerator, and sometimes I'll just eat soup cold as a quick snack. Of course, vegan soups. If you don't know what to eat, I've written a book on it called Eating Right for the Health of It. You could always get that on our website, drjoe.com. I wrote another book called Prescription for Extreme Health. That kind of is a guidebook for your whole life, but the first one is more about just eating. And if you have a health issue, if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, headaches, if you've ever been in a car accident, ever, if the car was damaged, you were damaged. And you need to come see us, even if it was 50 years ago. Because every day that goes by, damaged cartilage and ligaments are wearing out and getting worse and worse. So if you have pain, neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, digestive issues, my team of doctors are really good at working on acid reflux, heartburn, Crohn's, colitis, irritable bowel syndrome, and getting to the cause of the problem and not just treating the symptoms. So if you're really serious about wanting to get well, go to our website, drjoe.com, and make an appointment to come see us. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb, the Atlanta area. We accept almost all insurances, certainly car accidents, sports injuries, workers' comp. We have one goal. We want to be your doctors. We want to get you well and keep you well. And if you're serious about getting to the cause of your healthcare problem and not just covering up the pain, we want to be your doctors. Go to the website right now, drjoe.com. You can book it right online. There's tabs all over every page. Book an appointment, book a consultation. It'll bring you to the book an appointment page, or call us. We are more than happy to answer any questions you have. If you have a health question, you could send it through the website, drjoe.com. And there's a little bot that pops up, says, hey, got a question? Type in your question, leave your email address. Joe or I will get back to you as quickly as possible. Joe's my personal assistant. The initial visit is normally $720. And that's an exam, x-rays, consultation, going over the x-rays, first chiropractic adjustment, and a complete nutrition evaluation. We've reduced that to $299. I had a patient come in the other day, and he says, I've looked around at other doctors' offices, and I knew I couldn't afford to come see you. So I was looking at other doctors' offices, and then I saw on your website that your first visit is $299. He says, that blew me away. He says, why would you even need to reduce your fees? You're Dr. Joe and staff. And he says, you guys are world renowned. And I said, because we want to make sure that people get the care they need. And that's why we do it. So if you want to make an appointment, you can do that right now, drjoe.com. Again, a podcast, Dr. Joe, look up Dr. Joe for the health of it. And we're on your podcast server. And our website, drjoe.com, has tons of about 2,000 hours of audio and video. I also want you to follow us on social media. The handle is @DrJoeEsposito. And that's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. And we want you to follow us because the more followers we have, the more we can get the word out to people. So we do really need your help as a team. And if you want to become a Joe It All, that's our fan club, go to Facebook and join the Joe It All group. It's called Joe-It-Alls, and we'd love to have you in our fan club as well. And by the way, if you follow us on social media, you would have been one of the people who got free tickets to a concert. Lady A, we had tickets, and we gave them out on social media. And we give out supplements sometimes. We give out books sometimes. So follow us on social media. There's a lot of benefits to you because we give away things. And that's one way we want you to follow us on social media. If you have questions, send it to us through the website, drjoe.com, or you can book an appointment. And we'd love to see you. Again, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb, and Atlanta, drjoe.com. Thanks for listening to For the Health of It. Remember to subscribe to this podcast, and I'll help you naturally get well and stay well. You can also listen to and call into my radio show live Sunday evenings from 7 to 9 Eastern Time on WSBRadio.com and on the WSB Radio app.